Well, good morning. It's July 21st. It's 11:30 a.m. We're going to do a quick little drive around Kentville and then head over to Halls Harbour. Go ahead. I don't think on all my videos that I've come down through Kentville, I don't think I've ever really cut down through the actual main street, so we'll give it a shot. There should be a really nice day over on the shore by the Bay of Fundy. Should be a good day to see some boats, maybe see a couple lobster catches get landed. There's only a couple days left in the lobster season. The lobster season ends at the end of the month. So on the 31st at midnight, all traps have to be out of the Bay of Fundy and District 35 that are attached to the commercial lobster fishery. So in the next week, the wharves and everything in southwest Nova Scotia are going to be quite busy. This time of year they're quite busy to begin with, but they're really going to be busy because you're going to have boats coming and going all times of the day and night, because the wharves begin to get so busy just for people to try to get their traps off, unloaded, get back home, maybe get a rest, if not just take them home. It always ends up just being so much extra time and process just to get the simple little things done. So with that, the wharves and everything tend to get really hectic, really kind of much like we're facing in front of us. They get jammed up. One thing that would help this place though is if people use their blinkers. Everybody thinks that people's just gonna read your mind, and it doesn't really go that way, I don't think. You just sit here, you ain't got a blinker on or nothing, but you're just gonna sit there. You can put your blinker on, you might get in. That's my kind of thought, but seems to be a thing around here. And they wonder why, I hate to say it, but people wonder why there's so many accidents in Kentville. Oh, that's a nice hanging pot of flowers. That was really pretty. Oh, this is really nice. Really nice flower pots. It's amazing what catches your eye when you're 20 and then what catches your eye when you're 44 or 45. It all changes. I go for a drive and I'm looking at the peaks of roofs, the trims around the windows, the columns, or you know, the engravings on stuff and flowers. And when I was 20, it was just cars and girls. It all changes so fast, and you don't even notice it. I kind of like this. I think I like this time of my life a little bit better. A lot less headache. Currently on Aldershot Road, and this is going to take us through a few little communities going up through here on our way out to Halls Harbour. Take us through quite a bit of kind of a nice little mix of the valley in Nova Scotia for you. You're gonna get, you just looked at one of the denser populated areas between Kentville and Neewer in comparison to the rest of the valley, Annapolis Valley. And just a stone's throw away, you're out in the countryside, you're driving amongst farm fields, and 10 minutes from that you're at the cool breeze of the Bay of Fundy. That's awesome. It's funny that they gotta have a great big 1-ton flatbed in order to have her anchored down. It might be bigger, I don't know. But I love driving by that big maple leaf. That's kind of got my interest piqued a little bit. I just drove by that house on the right side, and they got a trampoline in the front yard, but they got surfboard on it. I feel like somebody there is a little bit like me. They're meant to be a little bit more tropical than where they're at. I used to windsurf and all kinds of stuff when I was younger. I used to go around the lake and see if people with Sea-Doos or speedboats would take me for a tow behind them. A couple people I'd end up had to pay because gas money's gas money, but I was definitely a water boy. I always liked being on the water, or in the water. Windsurfing was fun. I haven't done that for a number of years. Nowadays I look and what they call kite surfing has really kind of grabbed my attention. I look at it and just dream about doing it, and I think my wife's quite fearful that I'm actually going to get one, because I'm not the kind of person that I just go at something half cracked. Like, I kind of go all in on stuff, and I think that's the biggest reason why I'm not, is just kind of being a little bit, if I don't buy it, if I don't get a kite surfer, that's probably the safest thing that I can do for myself. But thinking about, like, you know, them nice breezy days in the Annapolis Basin, like, it'd be fun as all get out. And from what I've kind of learned about it, and I've got a general knowledge of sailing to begin with. I mean, it's completely different, but tacking it, you got to have a general knowledge of how to use the wind for your advantage, and angles, and cutting across the tacking across the wind to make it work for yourself. But geez, it's as tempting as it is, I am kind of got a little bit of fear in me, which is kind of good. The beauty of it is I always thought it took so much out of your arms and out of your shoulders, but the way that the harnesses and stuff are set up for it, it really doesn't take a lot. It doesn't put a lot on your arms and shoulders like that you're thinking. Really, the amount of pulling that you do is more or less just for speed and for your turning and whatnot. And it's not to look at the people doing it, you think that they're holding the bar, they're holding the sail, but the sail's connected to your harness, connected around your waist. It's mostly your lower back and your abdominal and your legs are doing a lot of the work. I really can't get them out of my mind. I seen them for the first time in Puerto Rico, and my goodness, now I'm just kind of the more I learn about them, the more that I kind of can't convince myself not to stop. Or to just veer away from it. The more I learn about them, the more I kind of get intrigued by them and interested by them, and the more questions I ask myself, and then the more I look up stuff, and the more it's like, oh, it's really kind of user friendly. And then you see fellas like 75 and 80 years old, and like Puerto Rico still, it's kind of what they've changed from is doing windsurfing and wake and like traditional surfing and stuff, and picked up this, and it's kind of, I don't know. I miss being out on the water like that, for definite. But having the spaces around, like where I live, you know, like 40 minutes and I'm at the Annapolis Basin Beach Park down between Annapolis Royal and Digby, and you got a nice beach there with a great big wide open area in the Annapolis Basin and Digby Gut where you could have a sail, or you know, you could go kite surfing. Or I'm almost an equal distance away from the South Shore, which would be like Liverpool, Lunenburg area, and out through there. I mean, there's beautiful white sand beaches, and there's actually a growing number of people that are starting to learn and partake in the sport out there. So I'm kind of in a decent spot for having access to the water without actually, living right on the water. But I'm fearful because if you followed the channel, you'll know that I've got some personal injuries and stuff from lobster fishing over the years. And it'll be a little bit different to try to figure out how some of that stuff's going to go. Or how that will affect me if I'd be able to do it. I'd kind of like to be able to find a place to be able to try it. I wish that I'd been able to find a place down when we were down south that would give lessons, but none of the places where we were at, none of the beaches we went actually had lessons and stuff like that for surfing or anything like that. It was, I don't know if it was a bit too touristy or not touristy, and we only had kind of limited time in each spot. We were kind of moving around fast, but I really do wish that I had tried to do and given myself a better idea, and now I'm just kind of wondering, kind of chomping at the bit at something. I really wish I could do it though, but I'm fearful of, one, my knee. I've had knee problems since I was really young. When I started going through growth spurts and stuff, playing back catcher in baseball and being pretty competitive in hockey and playing goaltender some years and stuff, I really did a number on my knees. And then you got fishing, that did a number on my back and on my shoulders and stuff. So pretty much everything that you'd be using, I've really not been good to over my lifetime. But I do a lot of work to try to maintain my strength and maintain a decent level of physical ability, because I know the amount of pain that I go through when I don't take care of myself and just let it go. But at the same time, it's, you don't work that hard to try to maintain your body, keep yourself at a lower level of pain and increased mobility just so that I can take up a sport that will probably rip me apart faster. So if anybody watching this knows anything or does kind of kite surf or anything like that, if you know any ins and outs to it, or if you got any information or advice for me, I'm all ears. But mind you, do I ever miss being on the water? I think the lobster fishing kind of scratched that itch for me for a while. But now that I'm not fishing, and the farthest out on the water I get is the paddleboard out at Sandy Bottom Lake, or if I get a kayak in the Annapolis River or something, And I can just imagine my wife right now watching if she watches this video listening to this, and she's probably palm to her face right now thinking he's serious. He's actually serious about this. This isn't little Facebook reels that he sends me about look at that guy jumping 75 feet in the air on a kiteboard. He's actually serious. She's thinking he's actually serious. Sea cones. That's pretty cool. I kind of wish that was open. It looks like at one time it was like I'd say an ice cream place, possibly like a fish and chips, maybe. That'd be pretty cool. Get a fish and chips order off the side of a boat in the middle of a guy's lawn. You never know what you're gonna see. Actually, I just seen an advertisement a couple days ago on Facebook, and it was somewhere down Southwest Nova, and it was a Airbnb that was built. It was a new constructed Airbnb, a house, quote unquote, that looked like a boat. And the main section, the lower part of the house, it looked just like a black hull of a boat, and then above the hull was the wheelhouse, and then it was a white wheelhouse, square wheelhouse, probably a sun or dining room or something up there, and then out the back of the wheelhouse, where the deck of the boat would have been, the working deck of the boat, that was where they had your patio deck. So the main portion of the house, the lower level, looked exactly like a fishing boat. Upper deck, upper second story was the wheelhouse, and then your patio deck is the work area of a traditional lobster boat. I mean, it was kind of cool. And the walls of the boat actually had a flare to them, like there was actually a flare to the walls, like the bow of a boat would have, etc. It was pretty neat. It was a pretty cool idea. I mean, I give it to the person. It's probably going to be, that'll probably be booked from the time it opens all summer long. Well, you can see they've already started landing some lobster gear up here. It really doesn't shock me, because up through here they get a lot of the lobster up at the head of the bay would be, at this time of year, it's softer. It's come up here to shed its shell to molt. And some of these guys, they get pretty big fishing through the normal section of the year of the season. So when it comes to this time of year, when they're the lobster that you'd catch, like soft lobster, it's not really marketable lobster. There's not a lot of meat in it. It goes to the canneries and it goes into like pet food. So with that being said, you know, it kind of, you pick the better of the evil, and then instead of putting the price down because you're literally driving it down, just catching a product that can't be sold, they'll pull their gear out, and that's what they do. They'll call it for a season, and maybe what they don't catch soft at this time of year, they'll catch hard in the fall at a much better rate, or a much better price. So I don't even know if I'm going to be able to find a parking spot in this place. Everybody's parked far enough away you could load hockey bags into their stuff. Kind of sad, but I'm not really surprised. That's how This is how a lot of these kind of places in Nova Scotia kind of get. You get just absolutely swamped with tourists. But beggars can't be choosers. You can't have a province whose main source of income is fishing and then tourism and complain when tourists come. Well, let's get out and we'll take a little walk on the beach, see what we can see what we can find. So, it's currently low tide, and I mean low tide, like we're not 2 hours flood, we're not an hour's ebb, we are at current low tide. You got a lobster boat out off the shore there, they're full of traps. Another couple of hours they'll come in, they'll start heisting them off. Those are probably the traps that are over there on the wharf, the red traps that we drove in by. Look at this big section of cliff up here that kind of separated off. You can tell it's fallen off. Now if you can tell, this shelf right here, on the highest of the highs, this is your high tide mark. And even up into this erosion section here. Look at all that. Yeah. When you come here, use caution. You know, you can see like the exposed roots, everything. And I'm probably pretty stupid standing here. But whatever. I think I've done more dangerous things in my life. I don't think that excuses it, but yeah, here I am, standing where I'm telling you not to. That's cool. I remember that all too well. About 4 years ago, that was me. In a little blue boat with a gray wheelhouse. Thinking I was gonna do big things. Thinking I was gonna set the world on fire. Look at that. The cave goes right in. What a cool rock formation. Like, I don't even know what this would be called. Look at it. There's different stones and stuff like embedded in. That's cool. I'm going to be careful though, because rocks like this, when they got some water on them, it's hard to tell where the water is and where the algae and stuff is. And that algae, you step on the algae, you're going to go for a ride, because it's not going to pull. It's not going to hold your weight, and it's not going to pull out of the rock, and you're going to slide. Much similar to the warnings that they give when you're at like Peggy's Cove and such. Stay off the black rocks. What a cool shelf. Not a bad place to find myself on a summer's day when the valley is reading 26 degrees and the Bay of Fundy coastline is reading 20. It's not a bad spot to be. Crack in that formation goes all the way to the top. People are down there and they're surprised. They can't believe that they can see lobster gear in the water, which this time of year they come in the shallows and shed their shells, and the hope is that you're catching the hard lobster as they begin to move and hunt for food. They kind of, as their shell comes from soft into hard, they need to reabsorb and regather all them nutrients to make their shell healthy. So they'll kind of go on a big scavenge and be a little busier than before. And as they gain their strength, they just kind of get harder and harder and bigger and heavier, and as you can tell, that's when the fishermen are trying to catch them. But it's the environment and everything's been changing, and what's been happening a lot these past few years, it seems like every year the lobster season kind of falls a few weeks behind. It seems that the migration comes a little bit later and a little bit later, and these fishing districts were all set up on like scientific studies and stuff way back in the day, and continued to be monitored, and only certain amounts of each licenses were spread out up and down the Bay of Fundy coast and around when they were divvied out. And 20 years ago, it kind of, when the lobster fishery picked right up and the boom occurred in Nova Scotia, a lot of the licenses that were spread all along the coast everywheres spread all out, and not very far from their original places where they were bought and set from the government, they a lot of those licenses got bought up and they got put into very specific spots. Like you got a big, for many years, a lot of licenses were bought from up in New Brunswick, up in the Alma area, up to the head of the bay, and a lot of those licenses came down and fished out of, like, say, Digby, in the Digby area, or Digby Wharf, but they were traditionally fished up around Alma, up around the head of the bay, etc. And now it's kind of come full swing, and where it used to be that the fishery kind of like each group of fishermen got a pick of the lobsters, you know, the lobsters weren't really, I guess what I'm trying to say is nowadays there's much more ability for them to be targeted. The fleet it's nothing for there to be half of the fleet up Alma Way or up New Minas Basin Way, and then when the catch drops off and goes, it might pick up down at the southern end of the district. It's nothing for all those boats to be down there in a day and a half with every bit of gear. So you can see how a lobster fishery that was designed to be fished a certain way is really, there's no way for it to deal with the attack that it's under now. And by that I mean, like, when I was getting done fishing, you could pretty much see a lobster. You could all but see a lobster on bottom. They've got technology now where we can see the wire cages. We can see it all. If I lose a trap, somebody can come across that and they can get my trap and see it, or see my back line and everything. It's kind of amazing, the technology and what technology has done for us, done for the fishery. But it's I think it's aided in the wipeout. Like, there's no denying that the catches aren't what they were. There's no denying that the catches are showing up a lot later. And it's not being as widespread as it used to be. It used to be, it's more of a capitalist fishery now, like, and it was before, but it's very much where it don't take much for a little guy to get pushed out of it now. And in my opinion, I think a lot of the little guys are just holding on. They hate the idea of quotas, but I think they love the idea of being able to sell a quota and just walk to the bank with it year after year. And when it gets to be the big company fishery and just fish companies, fish plants that are the ones prospering, then that's kind of what it turns into. Is you lease your license out or whatever, and try to find something else to do with your days. I don't miss what it's become. Personally, I miss when it was me and my father and what used to be one of my better friends fishing on deck with me. I miss that. I miss those times. It's a crazy little lifestyle though. I can say there's nothing that's given me more in life than fishing. From the time I was born until today, it's provided for me, it's provided for my family. But at the same time, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, because there's nothing in my life that's taken more from me than fishing. And by that, there's no price you can pay on your physical health, your well-being, your ability to get up in the morning and enjoy the day, not be pain-free. I've lived in pain since I was a young 30-year-old. And before that, it was knee braces. I don't think it was a far shot or I think you can connect the dots that yeah, I had bad knees, very athletic, ended up with bad knees. Well, most people will tell you if you got bad knees, you're probably going to be in line for bad hips, bad back. Do a lot of compensation. I ended up with a lot of compensation pain, and it's one thing to do a job that's hard on you. It's another thing to do a job that's hard on you when your foundation is already kind of shot. It's kind of a weird day though. It's nice to get out. I had some different plans for today. Kind of wanted to do a little walk with Abby. Trying to get more videos, but it's hard to get further away, to be honest with you. The change in everything day to day, gas is jumping. And on top of that, Abby she wasn't feeling the best today. So we had a vet appointment for her, and we were able to get her in and get checked out. So we're kind of just making the best of the day while we're waiting to hear back about her girl. And hopefully, fingers crossed, everything's good with her. So in 6 hours, this will be all full. And if you can see on the other side there, where the green turns into the brown, that's roughly your high tide mark. Should be just level. So it'll be interesting. They're walking on the ocean floor down there. It really is a beautiful spot though. I can never shy away from a nice boardwalk. It don't matter if it's only 25 feet long. If there's a boardwalk, I'm going to try to be on it. So these are all what they'd be called singles or possibly doubles. They've got the buoys off of the trap, off of the line right now, but they'd throw the buoy, and then when the captain gives the order, you just let the trap go. It's pretty neat though. If you've never been to a spot where the tide recedes like this, you know, it's the idea of walking on the ocean floor like this guy. Picking up scallop shells, you know. Chances are that'll go home, go on his mantle or by the TV or something and be a prized possession. I love to see it. That's the kind of stuff that I kind of needed to see today. Somebody actually enjoying the slow pace of the Nova Scotia life. Parker's General Store. I was in last year. It's got lots of neat stuff. Very cool. Highly suggest stopping in, pick yourself up something. Nice little local trinket. I'm getting a picture of that lady getting a picture of me. Oh. From Halls Harbour, Nova Scotia. Thank you for watching. Enjoy your days. Try not to waste them.